let's have a look around Adderbury. This is evidently the village green, and we're approaching now one of the pubs that, so we're told, these things can be exaggerated, Burgess and Lynne were thrown out of, were barred from. The Red Lion, this village was no doubt much quieter in the early 50s. There are three important Burgess works that we must deal with during our visit to Adderbury. They are, of course, a vision of battlements, which, though I believe it started in 1949 in Gibraltar, was worked upon in Adderbury and submitted for publication while Burgess was working and living in Adderbury. There is The Worm and the Ring, based on Burgess's experiences as a teacher an English teacher at Banbury Grammar School. And finally, there's this work, The Eve of St. Venus. These three works, by the way, none of them were published while he was in Atterbury. The Eve of St. Venus did not even begin life as a novel. It became a novel later on. Unlike The Worm and the Ring, The Eve of St. Venus is in print, I believe. The Eve of St. Venus has one very prophetic Burgess line. He's talking about newspapers, and he states, the narrator in The Eve of St. Venus states, "Today's newspapers, full of diminishing exports, the unkillable widening grin of the pullulating East, the expanding machine of the almighty infallible state. He himself could only turn to the past, but he heard that it was already impossible to change the past, bring the past perpetually up to date, perpetual jackal fawning on the present, malleable witness with no qualms about perjury. He knew that the armies were on the march, the tannoys blaring, the collective mind, tool of oligarchy, being fashioned under the anaesthetic of the catchphrase and the mass entertainment." By the way, that should have been already possible to change the past, not already impossible to change the past. I particularly like that, the unkillable widening grin of the pullulating East. Even in the early 50s, there was a sense that the East was rising, and of course, in Beds in the East, Hardman, when he writes to try and get his old academic job back, the professor who replies states that this is the time of the East. And of course now we see it. We see the decline of America. Of course the British Empire was dying in Burgess's time, was dead, was defunct at that time. America seemed hegemonic. Now we see the rise of China. There's another section here of the Eve of St. Venus, which I rather enjoy. It's a description of a character called Sir Benjamin. He explains, so she was Greek, was she? Well, well. I suppose the new vice laws are driving some of them out of Soho. Driving them down here, he said, as though a whole new world was opening up. It's rather difficult to read Burgess without laughing. He really is the greatest comic novelist since the Second World War. There's another description, the character Ambrose in The Eve of St. Venus is going on about this goddess. And he says, she is a goddess, said Ambrose, drunkenly and stoutly. And she wants me. She's the pursuer. She's the epitome of woman. Not, he said, not a second-hand bundle of coy erogeneity draped in an all-too diaphanous robe of pudeur. Really, Burgess excels himself. An all-too diaphanous robe of pudeur. That's rather out of date, of course. You won't see much pudeur in England today. Quite the opposite. And I think we all applaud that development.